kind of give you the lay of the land. This is just stream of consciousness. It's fun. And
he listened to a couple episodes. I just wanted to make sure that he knew that we're pretty formulaic at this point.
Yeah.
Because, depending on what episode you listen to,
we're like a good pop song.
We're more like a bad pop song, dude.
I listened to At Folsom Prism, which is one of my fave albums.
Okay.
Episode, and then I listened to the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Okay.
Which is also.
So you got to hear one where we were too afraid to put music tracks on because we want to get flagged.
Yeah.
And then when we finally said, let's try it.
And we said, fuck it.
What was the album, Bert, that thrust us over the edge? Do you remember?
Pet Sounds? It was in that neighborhood. Pet Sounds, I think, or I'd have to go back and look because feels like forever. But decided. Actually, no, it was one of our mini episodes that we did where it's like, what are you listening to currently, or something like that.
Oh
and
yeah,
because I was like, if they flag it and it's one of the mini episodes, it's not one of the album episodes. So anyway, that's. Yeah, this
is some great history. I hope this makes it on the episode.
Yeah, I know, right? This is good vamping, pre-episode vamping. Okay, so we'll kick this thing off. 100. I'm Bert.
I'm Drew. I'm Ron.
I am Ryan.
And this is the 100 Albums podcast, where we discuss the ins, the outs, and the absurdities of this weird poster that depicts 100 seemingly random albums. And here we are, folks, at album number 80, the last album in season 4 of the podcast. Time flies, guys. Time flies when you're having fun.
I never thought we'd finish 5, and here we are at 80.
80.
It's nuts to me.
Yeah, so album number 80, as we continue going through all 100 albums that appear on this poster that Drew got a couple of years ago from his wife, Lisa. We first went through all 100 albums on the poster, listened to each album, and then shared our thoughts and reactions with each other via video chat. Once we were all done, we thought it might be a fun little project to turn into a podcast. And hey, if this is your first time listening, welcome. If this is your 80th time listening, that's great. Either way, you should give us a positive review or rating on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps get the word out about what we're doing here. Before we get into this week's album, we've got a special guest joining us on the podcast.
We do. And listeners, since this is not a visual medium, I want to apologize in advance. We're going at you double Ryan. And I don't know what you're thinking, like they're going to be such distinct Ryans. And that is true. But I do want to say there are some similarities here. But I'm excited to invite all of you to meet my friend Ryan Connell. We met while he was working on his Bachelor's of Music and Piano Performance and Music Composition. Both, by the way, nut job, at the University of Louisville. And then after that, his career took him to the University of Colorado Boulder, I believe.
Yep, that's correct.
He was looking at into his Masters of Music, which he completed, and then the mountains seduced him, and he said, "I have to stay here now." But when he was in Louisville, when I knew him, much like me, I think he had a second education because he worked at a local independent record store there called Ear Ecstasy, which was super hip. Oh, he still has the bumper sticker.
Wow.
And in fact, I shopped his section a lot. You know, the Ryan's recommendations were always hot. So I'm pumped that, you know, after 20 years of being friends, he still allows me to share ideas with him, both musical and non-musical. And we communicate, I would say, semi-regularly compared to a lot of people that I know from 20 years ago. And he was excited to talk about this album in particular. So Ryan, I'm so glad you're here with us today. Everyone, Ryan Connell.
Welcome, Ryan.
Welcome, Ryan. Nice to meet you, man.
I truly appreciate the invite. I'm not going to say that I'm an expert on anything because there's always room to learn, but I'm glad to join for this.
Well, if nothing else, I feel like you've really rounded it out that we now have 5 white guys to talk about today's episode. And what is today's episode?
That's a great segue, Ryan. Let's get into this week's album, Me Against the World by Tupac Shakur. And we always start with the kind of the vibe check and what your impressions are. And Ryan Connell, why don't we start with you since you're our guest? What are your impressions of Tupac and of the album Me Against the World?
Well, specifically of Tupac, I have to say it's been a long journey to get to love Tupac. I mean, I'm a huge fan of classic hip hop. Tribe has always been my favorite. Fife has always been my favorite.
Now here's a funky introduction of how nice I am. Tell your mother, tell your father, send a telegram. I'm like an energizer cause you see I last long. My crew is never ever whack because we stand strong. Now if you say my style is whack, I swear you're dead wrong. I slay that body and El Segundo, then push it along. You be a fool to reply the fight was not the man. Cause you know and I know that you know who I am.
But it wasn't until really working in the record store where Tupac became something in my life that was important. Not that I could, wholly relate to what he's talking about, but I do empathize with his poetry quite a bit. He is a poet at heart. And so my vibe check for this album, in particular, Me Against the World, is one that's very much full of all the things I look for in art. The conflicting artist, an artist willing to talk about himself or herself. And so it's an album I've always enjoyed. I think it's a great head bopping album. It's an album I like to drive with. It always, just from a sonic perspective, brings me joy.
Hell yeah. Ron, where were you at on your vibe this week?
This album makes me sad.
Well, I told you after the research, it sure made me sad, but tell me what you mean.
Well, all right. So I took a hint from you, through the text messages. One of them was like, I just sat down and listened to the whole thing with the lyrics. And I did the same thing where I, pulled it up YouTube and read along with it. And holy shit, like the world at large, I'm a social worker. So I hear people's stories all the time and I'm listening to his story and I'm like, holy shit. This is not good. Like this poor guy. Like I wound up doing research into trauma and, Tupac's life. And I'm sitting there. And by the end of it, my wife is also a social worker. She's like, so what'd you think of the album? And I'm like, this is the most tragic shit ever. And she's like, why? And I'm like, dude's got to have complex PTSD, depression, anxiety, substance abuse issues. And I'm just like, I gave her a clinical review of the album from our perspective and world. And she's like, holy crap. I was like, yeah. So this to me was sad on a personal level for Tupac and sad for society at large. So yeah, that's my vibe before I go way off into the rest of my shit.
So, just first impressions, kind of off the rip. I mean, I'll just say I've never been I'm a huge hip hop fan, but I've never been a big Tupac fan. And while I was reflecting on that this week, as I was doing kind of the deeper listen into Me Against the World, and I did All Eyes on, I went through kind of the catalog, right? Because he doesn't have a super long career for obvious reasons, which we'll get into. Ryan, I share your affinity for Tribe Called Quest and more backpack rap and things that are more, kind of the conscious hip hop stuff that was coming out of New York City and that kind of thing. And I think that for me was easier to relate to because they were talking about things that were different, right? And kind of to your point, when you were talking about your vibe, I can't really relate to a lot of the stuff as a privileged white guy in central Pennsylvania. I can't relate to what it's like in his background and growing up the way he did. Not that I don't have respect and admiration and all that kind of feeling, but from the musical perspective, I think I've never been able to connect with his stories and his messages and that kind of thing. That being said, there's a lot of really great things going on in this album. I mean, the highlight for me is just the vulnerability and kind of what, Ron, you've kind of alluded to here, kind of the stories that he's telling and that kind of thing. But we'll get more deeply into that here.
I feel like for me, and this is partially influenced by some of the research that I did, but my vibe is that this is the first hip hop / blues mashup because it is, and I don't just mean because of the harmonica. I see you thinking about it, Bert, but there is a a blues storytelling element to this album. And even and I'm sure, Bert, you're probably very prepared for this, but even the samples that he chooses are not party anthem style beats. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
The whole thing has kind of a blues feel to it. And I'm going to leave it at that for now, because I know we're going to dig in deep, but that's my general vibe.
Yeah.
Drew, what are you thinking over there?
Yeah. It's funny. Checking in on certain songs as I went through, and the read up on the songs the write up on the songs I was reading says, in this song Tupac discusses the life on the streets, and in this song he discusses the hardships of growing up in the hood, and I mean it is very, very storytelling. We've said it 4 times now. I'm number 5, and of course is not related to my life in any way, but the vibe on this album, I liked it a lot in terms of straight up music. I did not like the lyrics. They're just, again, I can't say a whole lot about them in the vibe, other than they are depressing and were clearly meant to be a expose of that. But the music of this album is the same reason why I like the Chronic. There are so many similarities musically to the Chronic going on here. I didn't look into any of the samples he used. I figured we'd talk about them. Maybe I didn't recognize most of them, but same feel, same pocket that the Chronic lies in to me. It's that West Coast, I guess, Bert. I mean, you're the East Coast. We should start battling, me and you.
Start beefing.
Clearly on the West Coast. Yeah. But I mean, it's just how I feel when I listen to it. It's not something I throw on every day. And I also miss Tupac. I'm not sure why.
I think, for me,
never was on my listening at the moment when we were growing up, when he was coming out.
Yeah.
So
this, was never on my radar, but I think part of it is when it came out. Oh shoot. This came out when I was getting ready to graduate high school.
Right.
And as someone who was in Northwest Pennsylvania, I think we were pretty absorbed in grunge and, I don't know, Ace of Base or something. It wasn't Tupac.
Just lying on the beach and having fun. She's going to get you. All that she wants is another baby. She's gone tomorrow, boy. All that she wants is another baby.
speak for yourself on that one, Ryan. But
hey, no,
I'm just remembering what was being played.
What was around? Yeah.
I hung out with a lot of cats that listen to Tupac, and it still never stuck. Like I
same.
heard
Yeah,
it,
I had
but
a lot
it
of
just
friends that
didn't
listened to it.
stick.
Well, the stuff that was I think it was All Eyes on Me, his final album. Then when we were in college, and California Love.
Say what you say, but give me that bomb beat from Dre. Let me serenade the streets of LA. From Oakland to Sacktown, the Bay Area and back down. Cali is where they put they Mac down. Give me love.
Was everywhere, right? That one, much more familiar with that album than I was with Me Against the World,
And a very different record too.
and a very exactly. That's a great.
that
point,
one.
Ryan. Very.
That
very
one's a
different.
Joe Cocker sample.
Well, there's a bunch of samples in that song, but yes,
The piano,
Joe
the
Cocker's
piano.
one of like 5 or 6 that are pretty prominent. But okay, well, hey, let's talk a little bit about the background here. Tupac Shakur was born on June 16th, 1971, in East Harlem, New York City. Two parents who had been active in the Black Panther Party. He was born Lassane Parish Crooks, and at age 1, he was renamed Tupac Amaru Shakur. He was named after Tupac Amaru II, a descendant of the last Inca ruler who was executed in Peru in 1781 after his revolt against Spanish rule. So as you can see right off the rip, his parents are very kind of tuned into some of these kind of social constructs and social movements. His upbringing exposed him to both political activism and economic hardship, themes that would become central to his songwriting, a lot of it in this album. During his childhood, his family moved between New York and Baltimore before settling in Marin County, California. While he was in Baltimore, Tupac Shakur attended the Baltimore School of the Arts, where he studied acting, poetry, jazz, and Shakespeare, developing expressive storytelling skills that would later distinguish his lyrics. Tupac initially gained recognition as a dancer and roadie for the rap group Digital Underground. Eventually, he appeared on their 1991 album. This is an EP release on the hit Same Song.
Tupac, go ahead and rock
Now
this.
I clown around when I hang around with the underground. Girls used to frown, say I'm down when I come around. Gas me, and when they pass me, they used to diss me, harass me. But now they ask me if they can kiss me. Get some fame, people change, wanna live their life high. Same song can't go wrong if I play the nice guy.
Claiming fame must have changed now that we became strong.
I remain still the
Why
same,
two?
cause it's the same song. It's the same song.
Where he contributed a verse. And I had this CD and I loved his verse. I can't wait to drop a little clip of that into the show here because I love the verse that he had on Same Song. Also love Digital Underground. That's a whole nother episode we could talk about, right? Later that year, Shakur released his solo debut album, Tupacalypse Now, and this established him as one of hip-hop's most socially conscious voices, combining commentary on poverty, racism, policing, and violence with intensely personal narratives. His second album, which I'm not going to say, I'm just going to say it's called Strictly for My Niggaz, was released in 1993, and it expanded his commercial success with songs such as Keep Your Head Up.
And if we don't, we'll have a race of babies that will hate the ladies that make the babies. And since a man can't make one, he has no right to tell a woman when and where to create one. So will the real men get up? I know you're fed up, ladies. But keep your head up.
And I Get Around.
And I'll be there in a jiffy. Don't be picky, just be happy with this quickie. But when you learn, you can't time it down, baby doll. Check it out. I get around. What you mean you don't know? Check it go. I get around.
These songs demonstrated his ability to balance political messages with mainstream appeal. By 1993 and 1994, his acting career was also flourishing through acclaimed performances in films including Juice and Poetic Justice. At the same time, he became increasingly entangled in legal troubles and public controversies that profoundly shaped his next album. So this brings us to this album, Me Against the World. Much of the album was written during one of the most turbulent periods of his life. In late 1993 to late 1994, he faced criminal charges, lawsuits, growing tensions in the music industry, and increasing feelings of isolation. He later explained that he intentionally wanted this album to demonstrate his respect for hip-hop as an art form by creating a more introspective, mature, and emotionally honest record than his previous releases. The album was recorded between September 1993 and November 1994 at numerous studios in California and New York, reflecting both Shakur's busy schedule and collaborations with multiple production teams. The recording sessions occurred before the 1994 shooting at New York's Quad Recording Studios, but that shooting and Shakur's belief that he had been set up deeply influenced the album's final sequencing, promotion, and public interpretation. Although the sessions involved many studios, Shakur remained closely involved with shaping the lyrics, the vocal performances, and the emotional direction of each song. Rather than working with a single producer, Tupac assembled an accomplished group that included Easy Mo B, who also worked on the Notorious B.I.G.'s debut album, Ready to Die, which we talked about, Shock G of Digital Underground, Johnny J, Tony Pizarro, and Soul Shock and Carlin. The production blended boom bap influence from the East Coast with West Coast G-funk and soulful samples, think Dr. Dre and Death Row, creating a sound that was more restrained and contemplative than Shakur's earlier work. Songs frequently incorporated live-sounding instrumentation, melodic keyboard textures, and warm soul samples, giving the album an intimate atmosphere that contrasted with harder-edged sound dominating much of mid-90s gangster rap. Unlike many of the gangster rap albums of that time, Me Against the World relied heavily on autobiographical writing. Major lyrical themes included isolation and paranoia, reflection on fame and betrayal, poverty and systemic inequalities, mortality and fear of death, and family, particularly his relationship with his mother. To that end, Dear Mama,
And who thinking elementary? Hey, I see the penitentiary one day. Running from the police, that's right. Mama catch me, put a whoop into my backside. And even as a crack fiend, mama, you always was the black queen, mama. I finally
became one of Shakur's most celebrated songs, serving as a heartfelt tribute to his mother, Afeni Shakur. The song acknowledged both her struggles with addiction and the sacrifices she made while raising him. The song So Many Tears
No longer witness see deceits, call on the sirens, seen them murdered in the streets. Now rest in peace. Is there heaven for a G? Remember me, so many homies in the cemetery shed so many tears. I suffered through the years and shed so many tears.
explores depression, survivor's guilt, and recurring thoughts about mortality, themes that critics have described as among the most psychologically revealing of Shakur's career. The title track, Me Against the World,
Can you picture my prophecy? Stress in the city, the cops on top of me, the project is full of bullets, no bodies is dropping, they ain't no stopping me. Constantly moving while making millions, witnessing killings, leaving dead bodies in the abandoned buildings. Carries the children cause they're ill and addicted to killing the knee.
encapsulated the album's central idea, an individual feeling alienated from institutions, friends, and society while continuing to struggle forward. So the album was released on March 14th, 1995 by Out the Gutter Records and Interscope Records with distribution through Atlantic Records. At the time of its release, Shakur was serving a prison sentence following a sexual abuse conviction. As a result, he was unable to participate in the album's promotion, making it its commercial success especially remarkable. Additional singles included So Many Tears and Temptations.
Baby, are you lonely? Don't wanna rush out, can help you if you're only. Let me touch you for wrong, love, tell me. Cause I get caught up in the life I live as hell. See, I never thought I'd see the day when I would calm down. You ain't heard, I've been known to clown and get around. That's my word, see you walking and you're looking good.
Critics praised the album for its emotional depth, its sophisticated storytelling, and its musical consistency. Tupac's final studio album, All Eyes on Me, was released on February 13th, 1996, just 7 months before his death. On the night of September 7th, 1996, he was in Paradise, Nevada to attend the Bruce Seldon versus Mike Tyson boxing match with Suge Knight at the MGM Grand. At about 11:15 that evening at a stoplight, a white four-door late-model Cadillac sedan pulled up to the passenger side and an occupant fired rapidly into Tupac's car. He was struck 4 times, once in the arm, once in the thigh, and twice in the chest. He was pronounced dead at 4:03 p.m. on September 8th, 1996. Official causes of death were respiratory failure and cardiopulmonary arrest associated with multiple gunshot wounds. Won't go into a bunch of the stuff around that, but see our previous episode about the Notorious B.I.G. and the story about how these two lives intertwined and then were at opposition toward the ends of their lives. So, in terms of the performance of this album, on the Billboard 200 charts, Me Against the World debuted at number 1 on that chart, remained there for 4 consecutive weeks, making Shakur the first artist to have a number 1 album while serving a prison sentence. In terms of his other albums, All Eyes on Me, The Don Killuminati, The 7 Day Theory, also known as Machiavelli, Until the End of Time, and Loyal to the Game, all albums that went to number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart. From this album, on the Hot 100 chart, Dear Mama spent 20 weeks on the chart, peaked at number 9. So Many Tears spent 15 weeks on the chart, peaked at number 44. And Temptations spent 6 weeks on the chart and peaked at number 68. Top 5 albums for Tupac. Are You Still Down? Remember Me from 1997, 2.15 million albums sold. Number 4, Until the End of Time in 2001, 2.2 million albums sold. Number 3, Machiavelli, 1996, 4.15 million albums sold. Number 2, All Eyes on Me from 1996, 5.4 million. And number 1, Greatest Hits from 1998, 6.7 million albums sold. Me Against the World, for the record, comes in at number 6, having sold 2.1 million albums. All told, Tupac Shakur has sold nearly 30 million albums worldwide. That's what I've got for
Greatest
the rundown,
Hits.
guys. Greatest Hits is the top-selling Tupac album.
I got
There you go.
you led us into that, and I really
did.
thought you
I
were going
really
to let
did.
us know it was this one, and now I hate you.
But it leads to a good question, though. Why is this one on the poster? But we can talk about that a little bit later. So, any other research, other stuff that you guys, as you've been doing your listening and researching this week, other things that you found that I did not cover?
Unless I'm incorrect, the irony there is that I think Me Against the World actually overtook Bruce Springsteen's Greatest Hits on the Billboard chart that year.
I did not see that. That's very interesting, Ryan.
Yeah.
Huh.
So take that. Who's the boss now?
Yeah.
Tony Danza.
That's right.
Did you guys see who all Tupac was friends with?
Oh, yeah.
Including Tony Danza?
I
No.
did not see that.
Yeah.
God, that guy
shit,
is everywhere.
I know, right? No, he was friends with all kinds of cats. Oh shit, Mickey Rourke. Tupac helped Mickey Rourke through a particular tough patch in his life. The guy was just in circles that you wouldn't expect all over the place. In the rundown, Bert, you were talking about like poetic justice and acting. He was on a different world. And so recouped at one of the cast members, I can't remember her name, at her house after he was shot. So it was really interesting to read about his life and who he hung with.
Well, and I'm sure we'll get into this a little later, but I think that's part of his artistic ideal is he liked to create a big tent, even though on this album he talks about feeling alone a lot. He knew a lot of people, and I think that goes all the way back to his Baltimore days at art school. That's something that was very important to him was collaboration.
Yeah.
Well, because I knew nothing about Tupac, literally nothing, and was not around this music when it came out. I actually dove into and pulled up a bunch of the reviews from this album when it came out. So I read the Entertainment Weekly review, the Chicago Times review, the New York Times review, the Los Angeles Times review. And what's really interesting is that by and large, the reviewers got it. I'll give you a couple of tidbits. I'm not going to read you all the reviews because that would take too much time. But here we have Tupac's latest also mixes toughness and tenderness. Desperation follows raw anger on Fuck the World and It Ain't Easy, but most tracks confess frailties beneath the rapper's tough exterior, which I think we all noted we felt about this album. I will say Entertainment Weekly said that it was a shame if there were more in your face, if it were more in your face, the lackluster beats may be less noticeable. And I didn't think the beats were lackluster. So
I read that,
you?
quote too, and I was like, wait, huh? I didn't think it was that bad.
No, I don't think James Bernard knows exactly what's going on.
I think that was
here.
strong points.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing that I read that was the most important to helping me understand this, and I hope if you guys haven't had a chance, you've got to read Ready to Live, which was the Vibe magazine interview that he did. It was the only interview he did on this album.
I tried to find that. I found the cover, but I couldn't find the article.
Well, I'll get a link and we'll put it in the show notes because I found it online. And hearing him, I mean, this is the only in prison interview he did. It's the only interview on the album he did, and he sets it straight, like down to why was he out that night? Why was he even in the area of the recording studio to get shot? And it's really fascinating because, at this point he's established, but he's broke.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He, his money is with so-and-so and so-and-so, but he has got nothing. So he's hustling.
He needed $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, hey, if you want to come lay down some vocals on this track, he's like, well, I want this much money. And they're kind of like, it was a little shady the way he tells the story. Like they said they had the money and then they didn't have the money. And then he said they had the money. And then he shows up and he is to get in the elevator just to go up to the floor where he's going to record it. And that's where they get taken down. And I didn't know this. The shooters leave after they took the jewelry off of him. He gets up and gets in the freaking elevator and goes up. And they're like, what, dude, you're like, shot. And he's like, yeah, I know. We got to do something about that. But the cops are out front, and it's just a wild story. And one that I hope I never personally live. But and he does get into his metamorphosis that's also happening at the time of this album. Because prior to this, he said, if you ever try to take me off weed or something, or if I ever go to prison, it's going to be the death of my soul. And he says to the interview, he's like, actually, the opposite is true here. That was coming to me from a very extreme addict. And now that I've had some clarity, I'm realizing how off so many of my priorities were and how I need to shift my thinking and who was really being close to me that, you know, I thought, you know, maybe was taking advantage of me and all this stuff. It's really fascinating and gave me a lot more insight to the album itself. So, listeners, it's worth the read. It's not long. I mean, this is Vibe magazine. So what is it, like 5 pages, right?
I'm actually really looking forward to reading that because I was trying to find some interviews and just had difficulty around this time. So,
well, it's just the one. The other thing I did was I listened to I guess I could have watched it, but I listened to a YouTube interview with Easy Mo B, and I'll provide that link too, Bert. But he's talking to the interviewer about looking back on those moments, about making this album, and he was there during the shooting too, so you get that perspective, which was fascinating. And then I also found a really cool live DJ who took this album and he had all the original records that were sampled with the notable big samples and plays the sample, then starts the Tupac track, and then you can hear.
That's awesome.
And it was, for a music nerd like me, that was clutch. That got me closer to the album than I was before.
So
that's for
you
sure.
said you said you found it was like a YouTube or
It
something.
was,
like,
I believe it was called Discover Classic Samples on Tupac's Me Against the World. But I'll get you the link.
I was gonna say send number one. I want the link for the show notes. But number two, I want to see it. I want to listen to that.
Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
it was
That's
really
fantastic.
fun.
Yeah, nice.
Can I?
Any other?
I want to speak to the lackluster beat comment, because a couple songs in, I thought, you know, I'm feeling something the same here, and so I started tracking I opened up the metronome, started tracking his tempos. On all 15 songs, except for I'm looking at my list here, 10 out of the 15 click in at 90 beats per minute, give or take a couple at times. So almost the entire, it's almost like a DJ, you know, reaching a certain tempo to keep a certain vibe up. He sits at 90 almost this whole album. And when he doesn't, it's still close. There's a couple that are around low 80s. And then the one goes up to 100. I think 100. And you can feel it. It feels a little energizing. It's like the 6th song in. I don't know. That was an interesting thing I just decided I should dig into, because I heard it and I wanted to document it and see if I was right or just making stuff up. So maybe that's what whoever was saying about lackluster, because it feels samey, you know, that part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I will say there are some of the tracks on this, and I know we're going to get into this later, but where I'm grateful that it isn't a faster beat per minute, because the layers get pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like there's a couple songs where you've got like Parliament and Funkadelic being sampled at the same time, and, you know, like, plus like added live vocals, and, you know, like there's a lot of stuff going on. But it is, I get what you're saying, Drew. It is kind of laid back.
Well, I mean, and that's the point, and it fits his flow. Is one thing I loved about it is his tone, his kind of
his like rapping what would you call that? I guess just his voice,
the texture.
Yeah. It's because I'm not even meaning his flow, but like his sound. I thought was vocal, very, very welcoming.
I enjoyed it thoroughly, and that was when I was thinking, man, I wish I would have gotten a little more into this guy, because I really his color of his voice is nice to me.
Deep and inviting.
Yeah, and he doubled a lot of his tracks just to get a thicker sound.
Seriously?
Or a more. Yeah,
that's some accuracy.
Yeah, he doubled them, and I made a note of it. We'll probably get this down the road once we dive. Death Around the Corner. I think that one is a singular track, but yeah, he double tracked a lot of stuff as far as vocals.
And I mean, we talked about this when we did the Marshall Mathers EP. And that's a voice that I can't listen to.
Yeah.
And I know he has a lot of talent. We talked about that. Folks, if you haven't listened to that episode, go back. I'm not going to recap the whole thing for you because you got the internet. It never dies. But, I think, again, there's that narrator. Can you listen to it or can't you,
Well, and I came back to that one because we talked about it a lot in other rap albums, the violence and everything else. And on the Marshall Mathers, it's very cartoonish, very theatrical that we talked about. Where on this one, this is real life, and we talked a fair bit about it. I think on Dre's, the Chronic, where it kind of seems a touch inflated, whether it's real or not. This one, there's no doubt in my mind, this shit's real. This shit happened. And I've said for a long time, I really think there's a lot of rap out there that is so close to folk music. It's just storytelling in a different way, much the same as folk music. And you made the comment, Ryan, about, being blues. This is very much a blues folk album for me. So much so that if I owned it, there's a really good chance I wouldn't put it in my rap section. I'd put it in the folk and blues section.
Well, Shakur himself called it a blues album.
Oh, did he?
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did. I found there's a quote. I'll try to find it again. But he really thought of it as a blues album. Blues speaks truth to power.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, generally speaking, this was an album that, because I wasn't paying attention when we listened to it on the first listen, I thought it was still of the ilk of the machismo and the overtly violent and sexual. And yes, folks, there are moments of that in this. But it's not, I don't think it's what you think it is if you actually spend the time with it.
You have to take it in context.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, before we
sorry, he said, whatever mistakes I make out of ignorance, not out of disrespect to music or the art. So Me Against the World was deep, reflective. It was like a blues record.
There you go.
Nice.
Straight from his mouth.
Straight from the artist's mouth.
That's right. Well, hey, is this a good spot before we do a deep dive into the song by song or into the album?
Yeah, let's do that.
I was
going to
say
to hear from this week's sponsor.
We got to get them stacks, dude.
Yeah, man. Otherwise, we only make it to 80. Wouldn't that be about? We're so close to the finish line. Well, I am excited, you guys. It's kind of a repeat customer. It certainly is geographically, but we've got some support from Branson, Missouri again. And the Christian Brothers Theaters, they have pumped in some money with this project, but it isn't one of their normal stage shows, you guys. It's a new interactive festival that they're promoting. It's called the Biblical Times Experience. And I feel like the tagline says it all, which is LARPing just got liturgical. But they sent over an ad for us. I think rather than me talk about it, let's let the ad speak for itself.
The City of Branson, in partnership with the Christian Brothers Theater, proudly presents the Biblical Times Experience.
In time, a land of dirt, a land of crime, and find your spirit and set it free within the confines of Christianity.
That's right, LARPing just got liturgical. For 2 weeks, you and your family will be fully immersed in the ancient world. We're talking 2 full camps, Old Testament, New Testament, and if you sign up for both, we'll knock off a little something off the price with the God's Bundle of Joy combo. And listen, they take authenticity seriously. That's why they've announced proudly, if you're unvaccinated, you get an additional discount. Now let's talk cast, because this is where it gets special. Straight from the world-famous Christian Brothers Theater, you've got Tony Danza as Joseph. You've got Haley Joel Osment as Tiny Baby Jesus. Kirk Cameron returns to the role he was born to play, grown-up Jesus. And portraying Mary, Mother of our Lord, Christy Nome. There are no scheduled performances, no showtimes, no stage. These actors are simply living in the camp, in character, for 2 weeks straight. If you want to see Tony Danza as Joseph, you're going to have to find Tony Danza as Joseph. He's out there, somewhere, carpentering. Same goes for the baby. Can you find your way to the stable that houses baby Jesus? There's no map, there's no sign. There's a star, if you know how to read one, and it's not cloudy. But isn't that part of the fun? What can you expect otherwise? Well, none of the amenities of modern society. No working toilets, no clean sanitary living quarters. Water'll literally be toxic to drink. Women will be treated as property, in keeping with the era. And hey, if you bring the kids, we can't promise all of them will make it to the closing ceremony. That's just Bronze Age math. Meals are boiled. Some of you also will get boils. Deadly, painful ones. It's all part of the package. But here's the thing, folks. Through all of it, the hunger, the heat, the horrifying skin conditions, the frankly upsetting amount of walking required to locate Kirk Cameron, you are going to feel closer to Jesus than you have ever felt in your entire life. And look, for a lucky few of you, that closeness might become permanent. So book your tickets immediately for this once-in-a-lifetime religious event, the Biblical Times Experience. Tickets, additional information, and an extensive waiver can be found on the Christian Brothers website.
Very exciting.
I'm into the extensive waiver, man.
This ain't your typical Bible study.
No, this is for real, for real.
That's intense.
Oh, I just said the exact same thing, Drew. That was intense.
Well,
got
that's
chills.
where you'll be staying, probably, is in a tent. Yeah.
I just think it's one more reason to stay away from Branson.
Hey, they're a major sponsor of the podcast, Ryan.
All right. I take that back.
He
That's a
meant
lovely
Branson,
town.
Florida.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Branson, Florida.
Yeah.
We'll fix it in post. Wow. Well, that's wow. Good get, Ryan. Man, Branson keeps coming
Branson,
back.
they're here for us.
So great. Thanks so much to the Christian Brothers Theater for their generous sponsorship of the 100 Albums podcast. We really appreciate it. All right, guys, now we're to that point in the show. It's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly on the re-listen of Me Against the World by Tupac Shakur. What strikes you about this album? What is good? What is bad? And is there any ugly?
So are we talking just generally, or are we going trap?
However you'd like to do it.
All right. Well, we did a lot of background info. I think part of what makes good art is the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I don't think there's anything in my head. There's not anything specifically ugly-esque about this album. The lyrics themselves, the poetry themselves, is very disturbing, as we've said before.
Mm-hmm.
But I find myself being drawn to an artist who just talks openly and honestly about their life and actually is actively trying to change something in the scene that they currently live in. For one, Tupac was very interested in like youth education. And you find this track to track, nearly every track on the album, where he's talking about the young youth out there. I mean, he's said it in interviews before, where he talks about more kids sell crack on the streets than they get, diplomas, and how he laments that. And he wants to try to change it. And I think the overwhelming thing from track to track on this album, well, we can go through track to track, but is that he, in some ways, feels powerless, partially because of himself. He feels like he's holding himself back in some respect because of the crew that he runs with. I'm not suggesting that his crew is bad in any way, although there is one person in his crew that I do not like very much at all that we can discuss at some point. We probably all know who we're talking about, but I'm just one of the reasons why I love this album, track to track, is just because it is just fearfully honest.
Mm-hmm. And there's some hard shit on here too.
So, like, if you just sit back and like read the lyrics without the music itself, it becomes, I mean, it is poetry. It becomes something so much more than the track itself. I think poetry is key to this album. And while it does, I do find one of the ugly things, if you will, it is a theme throughout the entire album. And I don't know what this 14, 15 tracks. And I find myself towards the end of the album getting a little overwhelmed with the same thing over and over and over.
Sure.
And so I do struggle with that towards the end of the album. Now, that said, I think this album has a second act. The middle of the album, there's a lot of like the Mama song, and others where he's talking about.
It's interesting that you call out that particular track because, on the original release of this, which was a double vinyl side, the second record starts with Dear Mama as a second act.
It really is. But he's also talking about abuse. He's talking about, and this goes back to, some of the lyrics can be challenging to listen to or to read, but the underlying point being, he's trying to help people, pull them out of abusive relationships, things like that. Now, whether his methods are correct or not, that's not for us to judge. But I'd say the only downside for me of the album is that it does get a little monotonous towards the end. That second act is the uplift. I need to make the album great. There are a couple of tracks that we'll get to that I'm just like, okay, I don't need to go through that again. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think
sort of like made his point earlier. Let's move on.
Along those lines of monotony, or not maybe monotony, but it gets a little one note, particularly. I feel like for me, somewhere between Temptations and Lord Knows, I that's where I really feel the fatigue. Especially because I feel like it starts so strong. Getting back to good. I could do without the intro.
But in the lobby, Shakur was shot several times, including 2 graze wounds to the head. Tupac's lawyers said the attack appeared to be a setup.
Against doctor's orders, Tupac Shakur checked himself out of the hospital less than 24 hours after being shot 5 times on the way to a Manhattan.
I know why it's there. Okay, it's the news.
Yeah.
It's
for me, it's heavy in the game.
Hell plus all the dealers want a meal ticket. Jealous ass bitches, player hating, but we still kick it. Always keep my eyes on the prize, watch the police. See so much murder, neighborhoods getting no sleep. But still, I get my money on major, continuously communicating through my page.
Heavy in the Game is one that I struggle with, that track, which leads into Lord Knows and then the second act. But
we're on the same wavelength. That's when I started clocking the beats per minute, because I'm like, what is going on here? I don't want to just say this all sounds the same, but there's a feeling of.
There's also, in terms of the kind of roller coaster ride that is listening to this album straight, because there are lots of ways to experience this album. You can do it on specific tracks, and I still think get a lot out of it. But if you're doing a full listen, you start off, you've got If I Die Tonight and Me Against the World, which are bangers.
Bangers,
right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And the problem with them being so early is that now we're here. And
Yeah.
so maintaining that like level, I think is difficult for anybody.
And I think he tries to do it through texture building, and later on in the album, because those two tracks, in the first few tracks in the album, they're really drum heavy, really beat heavy. He starts using more samples, like later on, he uses a Stevie Wonder sample and a Joe Sample, if you will.
That's fun to say.
It's fun to say. But and so the album progresses texturally, but yet the theme still remains the same for much of it. And yeah.
And to try and to remain in the realm of political correctness, the song After Temptations.
As a young nigga, I'm on my swimming in the wind. Give anything to be that innocent again. When I was 10, I didn't think, but I was hanging with the homies till them niggas started slinging. Now they don't know me. I got my hustle on, learned to ignore what couldn't pay me. Lately I've been trying to make a million. Can you play me with that jealousy? They need to miss me.
That one for me was a mood breaker, because I really dug the music on it. I think it has a great bass line and a great old school feel to it. And so for me, I could you still have the theme there. It's still heavy. But it was a touch lighter, and the music got me through, and I didn't hit the satiation point, thematically with that one. I really like the backing music on that one.
I like the theme of that one because again, to Ryan's point, his idea of outreach, he's really trying to say, let's talk about your future.
Yeah.
That's the track where he directly takes that head on.
Yeah. I like the bass guitar in It Ain't Easy.
It ain't easy. That's my motto. Drink a Tanqueray straight out the bottle. Everybody wanna know if I'm insane. My baby mama got a mind full of silly games, and all the drama got me stressing like I'm hopeless. I can't cope me in homies.
I thought that was just nice orally. So for me, because this album for me is a rarity that I sat down and focused in on the lyrics. Normally I'm like, fuck the lyrics. I'm going to listen to the music. And so the message doesn't hit me as hard. But on this one, it was nice because I got the message, but there were times when the music took me away from it. And so,
there is a polarity there. I think, Ryan, I even texted you about that earlier in the week. I was like, hey, I'm struggling with the polarity of these poems versus the tracks that he chose.
And I think the tracks were very indicative of the time, West Coast hip hop. And even East Coast. I mean, he blended everything in some way together. I mean, he wasn't working for Death Row when he made this record yet.
Right.
So, I mean, he still had his deep friendship with Biggie, even though him and Biggie were pretty disenfranchised by this point.
Yeah.
I think it's a good and bad. And it's the narrator thing we've talked about before, but in a different conversation, where to me, the music is so good that it can be put on and just listened to without study, without whatever. I'm not going to call it background music because it's far from it. However, his voice is so selling to his urgency to get his point across that you have to pay attention. And so you can't just relax and listen to it. And so that's a good thing, a great thing for his artistry, a bad thing for your just wanting to sit down and relax and enjoy a record.
It is a very charismatic voice.
Yeah. Wow. And Drew, exactly what you're saying is that was my entry point and why I admittedly, I went a little extra mile for myself this week because on my first listen, I was like, okay, I don't get any of this. It just sounds like of the times West Coast rap. It felt in the background to me. And I was like, I'm missing something here. And I know it's me. I'm not putting in the investment. So, but I do think based on my first listen that if you didn't care, you'd probably be pretty cool with just playing this in your car and driving around. I think
Like
it still
yeah.
has a kind of dual function that a lot of this sort of darker hip hop of the times does not do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he's so easy to understand. And it could be that tempo, could be the slower tempo. I don't know. But, from a bunch of guys that repeatedly say, oh, I don't listen to lyrics. We've talked about lyrics an awful lot here.
Yeah,
obviously, this is a poetic album.
Well,
but they stand out, and they're clear, and they're delivered powerfully. So
and that was intentional with some of the production. Was like, hey, we're gonna bring down some of the other production elements so that Tupac's voice shines through, right? Because he at the end of the day, he's a poet, right? So for me, good. The headline, as I mentioned in the vibe check, is just the vulnerability, right? So many young men in this industry at this time were not getting out there and saying, hey, here are things I'm concerned about. Here are things I'm scared of. Here are things that I think are wrong about society and inequalities and things like that. Instead, it was, to Ryan's comment earlier, a lot of machismo and a lot of flexing and gold chains and whatever. Not that Tupac didn't participate in any of that.
Oh, he certainly did.
Right.
Yeah.
But with the lyrical content here, it just there's a vulnerability that I sense that was uncommon at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ron maybe had mentioned it earlier, or one of the guys mentioned it earlier, his voice. So the instrument itself, right, very pleasing to the ear, very inviting, but also, guy's got flow. There's something about his blending of legato and staccato where he can hit consonants really hard, very kind of brisk and in staccato ways, but also have lyrical flow that is very lyrical in nature, right? It's has these smooth dynamics to it. So there's just something about, he's got a very unique voice, I guess.
It's the counterpoint in his rhymes.
Yes.
Like he's in counterpoint with the beat themselves.
Yes.
And he also gets like focused on exploiting particular sounds. So I'm trying to remember which track it was where he's like, how many P sounds am I going to throw in?
If I die tonight.
They say pussy and paper is poetry, power and pistols. Plotting on murdering motherfuckers before they get you. Picturing pitiful punk niggas copping please, puffing weed as I position myself to clock G's. My enemies scatter and suicide.
I picked up on, I started counting them.
And in that track,
Yeah.
And to that end, I think he stays in the same range, a very small range, and that helps you keep focused too. Another thing I noticed about his choices.
Yeah. You just talked about If I Die Tonight. That was, for me, that's the standout track on the album. That was my favorite track on the album. But I also got to call out Dear Mama. You've got the Spinners, Sadie sample.
Say, don't you know we love you, sweet Sadie?
On Me Against the World, you've got the Minnie Ripperton sample, Inside My Love. On Temptations, you got Sly and the Family Stone. It's like there's some really great sample use here. I'm kind of calling out a lot of kind of traditional, 70s soul samples, but he also, I think, in that effort to kind of be a nod to hip hop, he's got some good sampling going on here from 80s hip hop songs too, and
particularly in old school.
I remember Mr. Magic Flash, Grandmaster Cass, LL, raising hell, but I didn't last every day and rock Kim was the shit to me. I flipped to see a Dougie Fresh show with Ricky D and Red Alert.
Old school, yeah, exactly. Right. Hence the title, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I know with previous hip hop records that we've talked about, I do kind of deep dives into samples. I didn't go that deep for this album, but I wanted to make sure we called out some of I called out some of the ones that I found.
maybe my favorite sample is the So Many Tears from the Stevie Wonder song.
Stevie Wonder one, yeah. Yep.
And I'm sure we all are huge
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder fans, but
Yep.
yeah,
Fans,
that's
if you haven't, go back and listen to our episode on Stevie Wonder, who continues to, by the way, make his way through the brackets.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Yep.
And Bert, if I could, and
Yeah.
you feel free to cue the music, but there's a lot of similarity I feel like between Tupac and Tom Waits.
Here we go with another Tom Waits reference.
I was
Oh,
wondering
I
if
gotta
anyone was
hear
going to make a
this.
Tom Waits reference.
Well, this is
There you
what
go.
this, yeah, man.
Because they're both basically doing urban storytelling, just from a
Mhm.
very different perspective.
Mhm.
I think they both have a kind of gritty realism to the stories that they tell. I would also say they kind of have alter egos that they seem to bring album to album of themselves. Throwing that out there. And obviously the strong reliance on spoken word over something almost unrelated in the background.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
take out your last comment, Ryan, and we said a lot of the same things about Garth Brooks.
Well,
Fair
and
enough.
minus a finicky S, they both have a song named Temptation. Zzz,
Oh yeah.
in Tupac's case.
But also, let's not, I think it's important to recognize too. Also, I love that Tom Waits Tupac comparison. I'm gonna have to ponder that for a while. But substance abuse
Mhm.
for both,
Yeah.
big thing that they both talk about. You know,
Sure.
Yeah.
And they both have had some odd appearances in movies in the 90s.
I did not know how many movies Tupac has been in. I don't think
Yeah.
I've seen any of them either.
Poetic
Really?
Justice is awesome.
Janet Jackson,
No.
man. Like,
Yeah.
definitely worth it. There's some really good stuff out there. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Juice
Yeah,
was a
I-
good
Bones
movie.
by
yeah.
Maya Angelou in that film.
Yeah.
I think from the years of 1990 whatever to 1990 whatever, I watched The Big Lebowski and
Wag the dog.
no, not that one, but right in that vein. Yeah, Rushmore.
Mm.
I think I watched Big Lebowski and Rushmore on repeat and nothing else.
Yeah.
I can't explain it.
That explains every time we, as a band, we would come visit you at your apartment, and that one of those movies was always on. I thought it was coincidence. I didn't realize you just had them on repeat.
If what you're saying is true, it yes. I don't know.
We would show up, we'd knock on your door, and we'd hear the Whites. So I don't.
I was going through something.
I thought that was something racial, but now I know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Other good, bad, ugly you guys want to talk about?
It's I don't want to say ugly, but I would say the tracks that miss for me on this album, there's really only two that I would probably eliminate. The first would be Heavy in the Game.
Yep.
It just didn't lyrically, it didn't do as much for me. The music didn't do as much for me, and it hit peak fatigue for me in the album, which
In
is
that
maybe
mid-
could be an ordering or a programming issue. Maybe if it was somewhere else, I don't know. The other one, and this is going to probably upset some of the guys, I didn't like Old School. I liked the samples he chose, and I found out which samples those were, and I thought they were cool. But there's this thing that people do in all of the arts. I have seen it mostly in music because I've been in music, and Ryan, I'm sure you've seen this too. But there's this, I'm going to just slightly write myself in the canon.
Yeah.
And I don't think he needed to do that, honestly, at this point in his career either. But it just feels a little bit like, hey, all these legends that influenced me. Oh, I'm here too. I'm part of that succession.
Yeah.
And it felt heavy handed to me, put a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know. I'm also really cynical, and I've seen lots of classical composers do this on purpose.
Yep.
So maybe his intentions were not as insidious as I'm saying they were, but it sure
Yeah.
read that way to me.
That's an interesting take. I hadn't thought of that way, Ryan. The only
Also, I believe the word is insidious, and I said insidious, which sounds like maybe an insidious like conifer tree, or
I was about to look.
You wouldn't
I
have
was-
slept tonight.
I thought it was Darth Sidious is kind of
Yes.
where you're going with that. So
I can't let that one go. That was a really stupid word that came out of my mouth.
We'll fix it in post. The only other and it's not bad, and Ryan, you already talked about it, but the intro, I understood the function, but it doesn't need to be almost 2 minutes long. You could have accomplished what you were going for in 30 seconds, right? So I was just like, is this thing still going? Like, start the album already. Holy cow. But that's just me.
If I got shot, 4 times he was shot that time? I don't know.
Yeah.
Outside
I would have
Twice in the head, once in the leg.
I would have put an intro. I would have put an intro on my album.
Drew's would have been 10 minutes long saying, I
At
got
least-
shot, motherfucker.
At least 2, at least 2 minutes.
You guys, when he got shot, he didn't even know he was shot in the head. He knew about the shot in the leg because he was worried that his initial thought was, oh my God, I'm going to be pissing and shitting in bags now. They shot off my dick. And, like that was his, he didn't even know
His
he had
first
been
thought,
shot
yeah.
in the head.
Wow.
Well, and Biggie didn't believe it. Little Cease was downstairs and was like, "Hey, they're getting robbed, and Pac's been shot." And Biggie wouldn't believe it until Pac came upstairs.
Just nuts.
Yeah.
All right. Results and ratings. Are we there?
Yeah.
Ryan, as our guest, as a non-voting member of this body, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this album?
With 10 being the highest, I assume.
Yes, that's correct.
I've thought a lot about this, and I don't like rating systems because my tastes change over time. But there are albums that remain with me, and sometimes they move up and down. But
You
I think
and Drew should talk about that.
It's living in the river, man.
We are changing beings, and that's part of what Tupac is talking about in this album, like how he wants change. But I'm going to give it a solid 8.
Okay.
I have other records specifically in the genre that I would put over it, but 8 for me is like an album that I'm going to keep listening to, keep playing.
Yeah. Ron, scale of 1 to 10, where are you, buddy?
5.5 on the album, but on his career, I would probably give a 7 because I'm going to wind up listening to more, reading more about him.
Whoa. Does that mean
we got to go
average
back
that
and start
out?
over?
Yeah.
No. Just using that to emphasize that, like, this shit really piqued my curiosity. Him as an individual, the stories he has to tell. And so, it wasn't my favorite album, but I'm definitely looking at more Pac stuff to listen to and read about.
All Eyes on Me is totally different.
Yep. Completely
Because of
different.
Suge. Because of Suge.
Yep. The death row year, right?
Yep.
So on the initial listen on the poster, I gave it a 6. Drew gave it a 6.5, and Ryan O gave it a 4.0. So Drew, Ryan, second chances. Do you want to change your initial rating?
Absolutely do. Yeah. It's not going to be a dramatic change because I still think I'm trying to imagine, with the poster and just everyday use, the frequency in which I would be able to put this on, because it's a very particular flavor. But I feel like my initial rating was also based on not having any idea where this was coming from at all.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So you said I gave it a 4?
You gave it a 4.5.
4.5. I think I would take it up an entire point to a 5.5. Part of me wants to say 6, but without being able to see other 6s. See, this is what you've done to me, Drew.
Hey,
You've got your own free will, man.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it a 5.75.
So, Ryan, if
Fight the power.
Tupac had a superpower and was going against another 6 on the album, who would win?
It's going to be by who had the best haircut that day.
Oh, that puts Pac at a disadvantage.
Hey, now, careful.
Hey, I'm good.
Drew, you're sitting at a 6.5, buddy. Would you change your score?
I'm going to stay right there.
You're gonna stay right there. Okay.
I think I was surprised that you said 6.5. That's good. I must have liked it that much first time around too, because again, that was the first listen. This was my second listen.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it, but still, yeah.
I'm going to go up from a 6 to a 6.5. I'm just going to increase it just a little bit. I definitely had a better, and again, we talked about this, on the podcast before. Sometimes doing the research and learning
Big
more,
time.
just educating yourself more on the artists and their background and motivations and these kinds of things can be illuminating and improve your thoughts about the music too.
I
think
appreciate
that-
it much more now
exactly,
on hindsight.
Yeah,
It still may not be my cup of tea, but I understand its place
yeah.
a lot more.
So initially, given those original scores, our average came out to a 5.67, and we ranked Me Against the World as number 58 out of 100 albums.
How does that compare to the Beach Boys? Because I know one listener that's really
don't make me pull my theremin out.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I see
always bring a theremin out.
So the Beach Boys is much higher on the initial rating. We didn't do a rescore. Did we? No, we hadn't started rescoring yet for Beach Boys. But when we did Pet Sounds, the average was a 7 instead of a 5.67. Beach Boys came in at number 32. So for the record, so there we go. That's all that. And Ryan, I think you said you own this.
Oh, me?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. I forgot there are 2 Ryans with us tonight, right?
I don't have it on vinyl. I do wish I did, but I don't have it on vinyl.
Okay. Anybody else own it?
I do not.
No? Okay. Just curious. Okay. It is time, once again, gentlemen, to travel to the islands of Margaritaville, I guess. I don't know. Travel to the whatever it is. So, you got 5? How many do you have, Ron? 8? Holy shit.
I'll let you guys go first and pick off mine.
I only have 2, so.
If Tupac had a restaurant or a chain of restaurants themed after Me Against the World, similar to Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, what would it be called and what would the theme be? And I think Ron needs to go last because he's got so many.
Oh, absolutely. I think Drew needs to go first because I stole all of his last week.
Ryan, how many did you say you had?
I have 8, but they're mostly like dad puns.
Well,
that's what we do.
That's what this is. That's exactly
perfect.
What this is. Okay.
Also,
well, who wants to...
before we start this, I'll go ahead since I'm talking.
Okay.
The idea of Tupac having anything in common with Jimmy Buffett is just like it's killing me.
That is funny.
I like that as its own joke, but
well, it wouldn't be it'd be like a hookah bar or something, right?
Yeah,
it wouldn't
right.
be a restaurant, but
so
go ahead, Ryan.
I've got a pub featuring over 500 ales on tap, and it's called So Many Beers.
I had that. Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you wanted to go first.
A restaurant where you order food, but it takes an unusually long time to arrive, leaving you to question, should we even stay or should we go? And it's called If I Dine Tonight.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a Cars reference, too.
Sarcasm.
I've got a charcuterie and cheese shop called Meat Against the Mold.
Oh, nice.
I have a place where you go to chew the fat, literally, called Lard Nos.
Nice.
Lard Nos.
And then I have a wild game restaurant that will bring you back to dough. And it's called Dear Mama.
Oh,
Dear Mama.
as in
Dude, that was a
Chewy.
stretch.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Let's go. Can we do the Ryan combo? Because
Yeah, do the Ryan. Back to back Ryan.
Ryan
Let's
to
go.
Ryan. Let's
Well,
do it.
damn it, you stole If I Dine Tonight. But yeah, that's sort of easy pick. So I'm going to go with this one. Tupac had a love of fast food. He would often go to In-N-Out Burgers and places like that. So I'm just going to say Taco Bell, If I Die Tonight. And just a restaurant full of like greasy food that you love, and it's called Templations.
Ouch.
That's good.
Oh, a restaurant that doesn't serve they're really big into no sides. A restaurant with no sides, 0 sides. You can't get any sides. They only serve meats. Heavy on the game.
Oh,
nice. I like the delivery.
So this isn't really Tupac, but it's a raw vegan restaurant. Okay, it ain't cheesy.
Nice.
Okay, a competitive eating restaurant called Outlaw.
Oh,
I like that one.
Okay.
That's good.
So it's a bakery or dessert shop that specializes in tiramisu. So they have tiramisu wallpaper everywhere, including on the ceiling, and it's called Sue Mini Tiramisus.
Oh, nice.
So sous chef, yeah, whatever. Two more. Asian Vietnamese noodle bistro called The Fucking World.
Oh, Jesus, that's wonderful.
Yeah. I'd be the
And
best one,
lastly,
yeah.
an homage to Tupac, because one of his favorite, he loved Creole food. So I'm going to say Old Creole.
Oh, that's old school.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Nice.
I will tell you, I will go to that pho restaurant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
It's the king.
Drew,
Fucking world.
what do you got, man?
Got two. I've got a garlic tisserie, let's call it. All varieties of garlic and garlic infused products called Breath Around the Corner.
That's good.
And I have a coffee shop a la Willy Wonka, opposite of a diet concerns, heavy on the cream.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I should have started with that one.
Yeah.
Like I said, that was it. So.
Ryan took one of mine. I had so many beers as well. So my other two then are, I know, womp womp. I had a Greasy Spoon Diner called If I Fry Tonight.
Ooh.
Nice.
And I've got an ice cream joint called Me Against the Swirled.
Ooh. I like it.
Well played.
Ron,
All right.
bring us home.
You guys you stole some ideas, but not the whole thing. So we're going to start with a place that serves wonderful dishes, very, very fragrant and pleasing dishes. And all the dishes are paraded past everyone's table, called Temptations. Then we have a soul food joint that only uses lard to fry their food called Lard Nose.
I would go.
That's close to mine. That's
Right?
close.
Yeah. Then we have a restaurant for kids where they only serve chicken nuggets and fries called Young Chicken Nuggets.
I thought about doing something
Yeah,
in that
I didn't touch
neighborhood.
that title at
I was
all.
like, I'll let Ron handle that.
And then we have a seafood restaurant specializing in large octopus, squid, crab, sharks, even on occasion, where you must catch and where you must catch and kill your dinner, and it's called Can You Get Away? And then they have a sister restaurant across town called If It Bites Tonight.
And the shark that you have to try to catch is called Tupac Shakur. Yeah,
Oh,
it
that
was
is
right
awesome.
there, Ron.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Then we have a dessert restaurant called Heavy Whipping Cream.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So
then,
these aren't in order of the ones that you thought would be funniest last.
Unfortunately, they are. Um, Then we have a fusion restaurant that has a food challenge. You must eat a dish from each continent around the world called Me Against the World. And then finally,
That sounds fun.
I like it.
thank God, finally, a gastropub that sells the most repulsive foods from across the world. If you are very adventurous, you can join the So Many Beers program where they have beers from around the world. And if you can drink all the beers from a particular nation in one night, your tab is free, and it's called It Ain't Easy.
Oh,
That would not be easy.
There's a lot
You
going
know,
on there.
back to the so many beers. They have a to-go program too, but they only sell them in 2-packs.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Ron, I'm really shocked that you didn't have a House of Ill Respute.
Ill Respute?
Yeah, or Ill Rasputin called Intro. or Temptations, which actually I think is
Or
a strip
Fuck
bar.
I was going to say
World.
that's a real place.
Or Fuck the World. Where were you, Ron? This was your time to shine.
You could have been leading the pack.
This was your
Fuck
moment.
the World. Oh my God.
There you go.
Oh, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, or maybe one for like older swingers called Old School. Like there's a lot of opportunities. You didn't do any of it.
Or Heavy in the Game.
I definitely don't want to talk about the track before that with this line of thought. All right, Bert, bring us.
All right. Hey, let's bring it home then. Closing thoughts, additional takes, or shit we forgot. Anybody have a hot take or just other stuff about Tupac or Me Against the World that we haven't had a chance to surface?
I'll start. I Tupac for me is, I don't know how to phrase it. Someone we should keep listening to because he lives a dichotomy. He wants something else. He's aspiring to be something else. I hate the fact that at the end of his life, he was involved with death row, to be honest. I think he had a future.
Yeah.
And Suge Knight, I don't know. Not going to get into that, but, I don't like the man.
Yeah.
I think he could have been so much more if he had the opportunity. But, it is what it is. His legacy is cemented. And especially this record and his first two, I think, are worth delving into more.
Yeah.
I mean, they're part of the lexicon now. They truly are.
Mm.
It's not my take isn't hot per se. It's just in terms of just for me, what I would call a wow factor. He recorded this when he was 23.
Yep.
It came out when he was 24. And as a person who's nearly 50, thinking back to me at that age, which by the way, Ryan, you and I were hanging out when I was that age.
Yep, that's true. We were listening to Liggity.
Yeah, we were
devouring Liggity scores.
A little different.
This is an amazing accomplishment to not only put out this album, but like to have done a lot of other career stuff that led you to a place of this level of self examination at that age. That is baffling to me.
if I wrote anything half as profound as anything on this album, it was ever by accident. And like you, I'm damn near 50. So I thought the same thing. It's like, man, if this guy could have made it to our age,
Yeah.
what the fuck would he have done? You know, and we've unfortunately had to have that discussion with many artists on the poster who unfortunately died early of, you know, man, if they could have done another 20, 30 years, what they would have done and how earth shattering it would have been.
I mean, we said it really early on when we did the Tim McGraw episode. If he would have lived on, would he have? Oh wait, shoot, he's still around.
Yeah, he's putting out a new album this week.
Yeah, it's in Drew's want list, clearly.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that for a fact.
Is it Drunk on a Plane with Snakes?
It's Die Like You Were Living.
Any other thoughts? Let's
What are we
wrap it
listening
up.
to
then.
next, man?
Well, now our listeners should go listen to this album, Me Against the World by Tupac, and let us know what they think. We're very interested in your opinions, listeners. Hit us up with a voice message at speakpipe.com/100albums. And hey, we'd love to hear your thoughts and reactions on this album and our discussion. Email us at 100albums@vertislow.com. You can connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at 100albums podcast, or visit our website, 100albumspodcast.com. Now, Ron, next week,
What are we listening to?
we're not listening to anything next week except the dulcet tones of our own voices, because it is time for the season 4 ending bracket episode. So join us next week as we embark on the battle for supremacy. Which album from season 4 will be the reigning champion?
I can't wait
And
to
go
see
on to
how this
compete at the
shakes
end of
out,
it.
man.
Yeah, it's going to be... This was a weird season, so
It's
going
gonna
to be an interesting
some
bracket.
easy ones and some really hard ones.
That's
what I
right. So please visit our website, 100albumspodcast.com. I will be posting the blank bracket there. You can download it and fill out your own. And then when you listen to our episode, you can play along as we, as the four of us battle it out. And maybe we'll have some surprise guests on that episode too. Who knows?
It happens.
Last time we were randomly calling people in the middle of the night. It was great. So
Can our listeners upload their brackets?
I'll keep my phone on.
Oh, good, Ryan. we
Please
might-
do, Ryan. We're going to need
just
it.
keep it right there. Sit it, like wait for the call, Ryan. I
'cause,
promise.
for tiebreakers, it can be very important.
That's right. Ron, to answer your question, we don't have a vehicle for listeners to upload their bracket, but they could send us a copy of their filled out bracket to 100albums@vertislow.com.
Yeah, or they could save them as an image and post them on our socials. We got lots of ways.
Absolutely.
Cool.
A lot of ways to connect with us.
I'm really hoping someone does that because I've gotten screwed. Drew's gotten screwed. And at this point in the game, I'm like, fuck it. Yeah, Ryan's gotten screwed a couple times. Bird always wins.
I already know who my number one pick for this season is, and I guarantee you they're not going to win.
yeah.
So Guns N' Roses.
That was season 1, dude. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you on the episode and for your voice and your contributions. Your viewpoint have been greatly appreciated.
I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. I love you guys. Your podcast is great.
Thank you. very
Hey,
much.
Good to
Ryan,
meet you, man. Thanks for being here.
Well, we got you on. I mean, other than obviously you have a connection to the commercial sponsor that we had on because of your involvement with the church.
Yes.
What do you have any?
My involvement.
Do you have any upcoming performances?
Yeah, what do you want to
or,
plug?
recitals or anything that you want to plug? Let's hear it.
I don't have any recitals or anything to plug right now. I just sit at home and play my piano and paint. That's what I do.
If folks, if
nearby
you
in the future, I do have a recital coming up in the fall. Full of Poulenc and some Bach. Totally
I'm
out
not-
Tupac.
I'm not sure if Ryan's social presence is private or not, but he does a lot of live improv videos as well on Facebook, and they're always wonderful. Ryan, you're a gifted pianist, and I always love hearing you play.
I appreciate that. Just send me a request, and I'm glad to print y'all.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure. Have a great evening, and we'll see everybody next week.
Later, hams.
Peace.
Turkeys.
Oh, turkeys.
Turkeys. That's right. Turkeys.
That's a turkey.
I tell you what, impatient motherfuckers. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Dude, it's 5 till. I always log on at 5 till.
Not on Sunday, you didn't.
Not on Sunday, I didn't. That's fair. I was making cover. What's happening, fellers? Drew, give us a voice check, because I don't know if you guys listened to the disintegration episode, but
Ooh,
I feel like I did you dirty, man. I tried to level it out, but Drew sounds like he's across the room away from a microphone.
I didn't
Well,
feel
there's
that
nothing you
way.
can do when
You
we're
didn't
all
feel
on the
that?
same
Okay.
track.
I listened to it on my walk this morning.
In headphones.
In headphones.
So it's better in headphones than it is. I was listening on my way into work in the car,
check,
and
check.
it was like, yeah,
Turn it up, turn it down, turn it up, turn it down.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't control it when it's all on the same track.
Yeah, there you go.
It's out of your
Yeah,
hands.
that's true. So and I could dump it into 4 to 5 different vocal tracks, but I'm just like, I ain't got time for this shit.
No, don't worry about it. That was my error.
We do
and
make
it
a
will
lot of
happen.
money off
Yeah,
this.
we get
Bert.
a
You
lot
better
of money doing
Make
this.
sure you cut that out, because
That's
our
right.
sponsors are going to be pissed hearing
You doing the
say
Dave
stuff like
Coulier
that.
there? Cut that out. Is that what that was? I saw.
This is not an Alanis Morissette episode.
Okay, so we'll kick this thing off, and Ryan, I'll leave it to you to introduce Ryan, and we'll go from there.
Sounds great.
Drew,
I'm
are
Bert.
you ready? Oh, sorry. He looked like he was still fiddling. He looked like he was fiddling. I wanted to make sure.
I was jotting down a note.
Are you fiddling, or are you ready?
He's jotting.
I've got
I'm
a-
sorry. I didn't know that was his jotting face.
That's my jotting face.
Off to a great start. This is awesome.
So, I know that you all just did the Tupac episode, and I'm told that Ryan did not share this particular tidbit with you, so I want to go ahead and share it with you now. Hi, my name's Liz. You know me from things like being opinionated and the Spice Girls. So the other day, Ryan was prepping for this episode and said he wasn't really like feeling the Tupac album. And I said, well, that makes sense because you're much more of an East Coast rap fan than a West Coast rap fan. And he said, Tupac is East Coast. And I said, Tupac. And he said, yeah, it's East Coast. I said, Tupac, California Love with Dr. Dre is East Coast. And he's like, isn't he East Coast? So there you go, friends. Take Ryan's judgment of Tupac with an entire bucket of salt. Because until a week ago, he thought he was East Coast rap.